Round one. Fight.
The size of a roster in a fighting game can be a blessing for experienced players, but also be a daunting and overwhelming task for new players. Deciding who you're going to learn can be a massive challenge. So I figured I'd give my thoughts on how I go about sifting through characters in a roster when deciding who I'd like to main in a fighting game. Because Tekken 8 is a series that I'm also new to, this will be the game I use as an example. Before I even select a character, I'll go through the roster and decide somewhere between 5 or 10 characters I simply think look the coolest or interest me in trying out, whether it be because of a playstyle or a pro player I saw that inspired me to pick up that character. Regardless of your reasoning though, I'd make a list of 5 to 10 and go from there. After making my list of characters, I would start by asking myself a question. What do I want to get out of this character? Am I playing casually and just want to play with friends? Am I hoping to play competitive at one point? Somewhere in between? It's really important to know what you're wanting to get out of that character from the beginning. This way you can start narrowing down that list of characters that you decided. So for me, my answer to that question was I want to learn Tekken through this character. Be able to identify and understand the mechanics of Tekken through that character. I didn't want to pick up a main and that main carries me through the game. I wanted to learn how to play Tekken and its mechanics to a point to where I could be able to compete at one point. So for example, I started my list with Jin, Reina, Yoshimitsu, Hwoarang, Leroy, and Leo. And Yoshimitsu is the one that I ended up picking up first because he is considered a legacy character and has been in the series from the beginning. But after playing him for a couple of days, even though he is an absolute blast to play with, I wasn't learning Tekken with Yoshimitsu, but rather learning that Yoshimitsu is playing his own game with unblockable setups, really bizarre movement options, and a very small and limited jab and poke game, while everyone else seems to be kind of playing Tekken. So moving down my list some more, I started playing Leo and found myself not only attempting to mix up my opponent, but also waiting for punishes, realize when I need to sidestep, and many other techniques that Tekken is kind of known for. And because I felt like I was learning Tekken through Leo, I ended up sticking with him for quite a bit of time. If I were to pick up this game and wanted to play casually with friends, I would have probably landed on Yoshimitsu. But because I was looking to not only truly learn Tekken, but also compete, I ended up landing on Leo because he met that criteria of what I was looking for in a character. I played Leo for about a week before returning to the character select screen, and now I had a better understanding of what Tekken was asking from me as a game, and returned back to my list to start asking myself a couple more questions. How hard am I working for my wins? Do I enjoy learning the process of learning Tekken with this character? With Leo, I did find myself working pretty hard for my wins, not just because of his stances or combo routes or anything like that. That wasn't what I found difficult. What I found difficult is that I hit a roadblock while I was playing Tekken because Leo felt like a character that asked you to already know the engine of Tekken other than learning Tekken's engine through that character. And I was having a blast with this character, but because I was hitting this roadblock, I decided to go back to my list and try to find another character to where I can ease myself into learning the engine of Tekken a little bit easier. Then later return back to Leo, once again because I was having a lot of fun playing with him. Because my list has gotten so small at this point, and I only had Leroy and Reina, I was going to start asking myself questions that were specific to those characters, instead of asking questions that have to do with the entire roster. Do I enjoy the game plan that my character has? How popular is the character I picked? How high or low is this character on tier list? these are the questions that I would be asking at this point. So for me, between Reyna and Leroy, I decided to pick Leroy over Reyna because Reyna was the most popular character in the game, and I think still is. And I didn't want to pick up a character that everybody knows the matchup so well and be almost gape-kept from learning the game because I was playing a character that everybody had the most experience with. So I ended up picking Leroy at this point. And may return back to my list, either return back to Leo later down the road. But that's essentially my process of picking a main. And I find myself pretty happy with the characters I settle with. And oftentimes I'm really surprised with who I end up picking as my main. You're going to spend a lot of time with your character, which is why this process I have may seem a little tedious, but I found it to be worth the effort at the beginning of your journey, especially when it's a game where everything and everyone is new to you. Learning a fighting game is a journey after all, and picking the right main for you through that journey makes all the difference.